Welcome everybody. Good Monday morning. Super excited to be here again for another League of Legends stream plus answering entrepreneur questions. And of course, back in the hot seat with me is Rishi Cup TV. How you doing, Rishi?
Hey, Evan. Good morning and happy Monday to everyone.
What's in the cup today?
Well, we got regular good old coffee, and we also have a cup of LOL, League of Legends.
I love it. I'm drinking my vitamin water. Popped up on the screen. My
Oh.
wife leaves it for me every morning, so that's it.
She's amazing.
She really is. Good. So getting the rank game on here. Gonna try for some jungle or some mid while we answer entrepreneurial questions. So I'm ready when you are, Rishi. What's the first one?
Okay. First question is coming from Firstizio.
Firstizio.
And Firstizio says he's got a brother who went to school for 2 careers, and after having done that, he didn't find any jobs. He can't find anything, and so he's just coming to you to see what can he do. He needs some help.
Okay. That's a tough situation. What do you think, Rishi?
Okay. Well, I guess 2 times in a career that hasn't worked out yet. I guess I'd want to know a little bit more of the context as far as how long has he been out of school, like what has he been doing to actually find a job. So context might be a little bit more helpful for this, but it sounds like, gosh, I'd have to say, is the brother really passionate about these 2 careers that he's pursued? Did he just pursue these careers because this is what he should do? Or was this something that he was really passionate about? And based on that answer, I would say, what to do next? Because if he's really passionate about these careers, I'd say you got to just keep going and keep trying and get your believe. Pull that believe up and just keep at it. But if he's not passionate about these careers, and if he's not getting jobs because he's not very good at this particular industry because he's not passionate, then I'd say, okay, well, maybe it's time for you to start paving a new path.
Some tough love advice from Rishi Cup today. It's a good start to the morning. Yeah, I mean, I would echo that. I think, this is an example. I had a meeting yesterday with one of my instructors from Toronto Dance Salsa, and she's doing 2 things for us. And one of the things you can tell that she really loves and she's putting a ton of heart and effort into, and she's thinking about it on the weekends, and she's just going above and beyond and just putting in extra work. And then the other thing, she's just kind of going through the motions and just doing it because it's part of the job. And she's not super excited about that. And really what you want to do is do the thing that makes you come alive. And so we're trying to, focus on, okay, well, how can we focus on these things that you're really good at and you really love doing, and you're already putting all this extra love and effort into. And so it's the passion for what you're doing that keeps you going through. Like, if he really does absolutely want to be in one of these professions, then that love and passion will keep you going through. But if he's doing it just because, I got this degree because I think there's an opportunity here, or I'll probably find a job somewhere, but you're not really madly in love with it, then I would hate for you to go and really push in that career just because you think it's an opportunity, but not one that you actually feel like you're going to grow and learn and have a lot of love for. And so I agree with Rishan, like the extra context would be helpful. Is this something that you madly want to pursue and keep going? Or is it something that, you're stressed because you want to find a job and you need to make money to kind of survive? And if that's the case, then I'd say continue to explore. Like explore, try different things until you find the thing that makes you come alive, and then go all in on that. Because you'll find that it's just so much easier when you're doing something that you love. Doors open for you, resources come to you.
Yeah.
The path is just way easier when you're doing something you love, where if you're constantly fighting and fighting and fighting, you know, maybe something's wrong there and maybe you should be doing something else.
That's so good.
That's it. I'm gonna X this game and try to line up a new one. I don't know why. I'm not finding a match. Come on, nobody's playing League at 8:30 in the morning.
I wonder why, Evan.
Don't go to work, people. Play League. Come on.
So I just want you to know I'm really excited because I see the stream right now, which is good sign. And it's a little bit delayed, but also I don't see a chat right now. So just keep an eye on the chat and let me know if I'm missing anything if you can.
Yep.
Okay. Next question comes from Mark Anthony.
Ooh, I got a game. Okay, I got a game and Mark Anthony. Let's go. I like the name, Mark Anthony. I just finished watching the Rome series. I don't know if you've ever seen Rome, the TV show. It's a little old.
No, should I?
I liked it. It's old. It's an old series. Nina got me into it. Yeah, Mark Anthony is a pivotal character in Roman history, so I like the name. It's a good start.
Okay. So Mark Anthony asks, he says, Evan, my girlfriend is getting into videos.
I like it.
Do you have any quick advice?
All right. Well,
All right.
you have a lot of experience.
I have a
there.
lot of advice for this. Yeah. I mean, I'm super excited. I'm just about to celebrate a year on YouTube. So I was in your girlfriend's position about a year ago. I wanted to just start making videos. And so, Evan, you know my big thing that I had to overcome was the perfectionism. So I would say to this girlfriend, just start. Number one, just start, and expect to suck at the start. my first video was pretty horrible, but I had to really let go of a lot of perfectionism and just do it. Like I think the best advice that I've ever gotten as I've been following Evan's channel is just like, yes, you want it to be perfect, but you've got to just take action. You've just got to get it out, and more is better because you can get better quicker. So I went from one video a week to now 5 videos a week, and do something that you really love because it is a lot of work. But I absolutely love, really, I mean, I get tired because I work so hard, but I love every single second of it because I'm doing what I love. I'm making videos that I'm excited about, and that I hope my audience is excited about. So anyway, I love making videos, and you're going to love it too.
I love the honesty and the excitement there at the end. That was nice. So yeah, for me, a couple things. One, the consistency is super important. Rishi touched on it, making videos, every day now, or at least 5 times a week. I think it'll take time for you to get good, and this is where the perfectionism bug kind of sits in. I think people in general have a standard for what they think they can create. They have a standard for what they like. Like when you watch somebody else's videos, like, oh, that's a really good video, and then you make something and your skills aren't up to your standards, and a lot of people will quit at that point, and they think, oh, well, I can't make a vlog like Casey Neistat, and so I'm gonna stop, like I'm not good enough. And really, you have to understand that it will take time, and that you need, just like anything else, when you're first learning it, when I'm learning how to play League of Legends, or I'm trying to learn, Italian or snowboarding or whatever it is, you're going to suck at the start, and you'll get better each time. And I think people too often compare themselves to other people's channels, and they don't realize that, hey, this person's been around for a number of years, and they have put in a lot of time and effort to hone their style, and you're just getting started. So don't worry if you suck at the start. Just make sure that you're better than you were on the last video each time. It took me 700 videos until I wasn't embarrassed by what I was doing. And most people quit like 5 videos into their channel. The second thing I would
So
say,
funny, yeah.
yeah, to Rishi's point about kind of loving what you're doing, I would echo that and say you need to love the process and not just the outcome. I think a lot of people, like, I want to be a big time YouTuber. I want to make a full time income from YouTube. And so they're just attached to like, okay, when I make X amount of dollars from YouTube, I will be happy. Where really what you want to do is enjoy the process. Like if you don't actually enjoy making videos and you're not pouring your creativity into it and that is reward for you, then you're not going to be successful on YouTube. You have to love the process of doing it and not just the outcome. But I'm super excited. And what was his name?
This is Mark Anthony.
And Mark Anthony, right? Oh, right. The awesome name. I loved it. And I love that you're asking for your girlfriend. I love like the love and attention that you're trying to give her and support her. And I think for you, Mark, she's gonna need that too. So you know, your role is to help support her and be her cheerleader and be her cameraman if she needs it and try to pull resources. And she's gonna have days where she's gonna feel like quitting. And you could play a really important role to help keep her on her track as well. I love it. There's some warmth there. Love
the holistic advice there, because it's so much more than just making videos, right? It's also the support that you have along the way.
Yeah, Mark Anthony. He's a good guy. He wasn't that good a guy in ancient Rome, but this is the new Mark Anthony. Okay, I'm in game. Let me turn down my volume here. I am playing Teemo Jungle. So let's see how we do.
So basically all these people on the screen is like all the people who you found?
Yeah, so
to play?
It's 5-on-5. So I have me plus 4 teammates against 5 other people.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Next
There's a lot of league lessons that are applicable in business too. Like to make a good team, everybody has different strengths. So just like in running a business, you need to have people with different skill sets and different strengths. If you have a team that everybody's the same kind of character, you often lose. You're probably going to lose. You need people that balance it out to have like. So my guy, for example, is very. He can die very easily. He's not very strong.
Why?
He's very weak. Like he has very low health. They call that squishy in the game. But
okay.
but he can put out damage. So and if I go down here, there's this big guy named Brahm who doesn't put out a lot of damage, but he's really strong and can defend. So like he's supposed to be he's the front line. Like he's supposed to take and eat all the damage from the enemy team while I'm behind him attacking. Where if we had a team of just me's, I'm not even getting a leash. These guys suck, man. That bothers me. Anyway, I didn't even get any items. Oh, I'm making mistakes all over the place here. I'll have to go back. I may die. Yeah, anyway. If it was just a team of me's, then we would fail and lose. And if it's just a team of that guy, his name is Brahm, we would fail and lose. But the diversity is what makes us. This is a really embarrassing stream because I didn't buy anything, which is not how you're supposed to play. And I didn't get any help on that first camp. Anyway. Okay, now I'm really playing, guys. Now this is it. I'm a little behind. Good. That was a league lesson for everybody and myself. Next question. Let's move on.
I love it. That was great wisdom there, Evan. Next question comes from Adetilewa. And I don't know if that's a he or a she, but it says, you were just 19 years when you started.
Yeah.
How did you become so great at such a tender age? I can't answer this one for you, Evan.
I think you can add some context here. I'm not going to let you off the hook
Okay.
that easily.
At 19, I wasn't as accomplished as you, my
What
friend.
What were you doing at 19?
Wow, I was in college. I was in university. I was in
Okay.
New York City. I went, and
You were
so
in New
I was
York. I
in
didn't know that.
college. Yeah, yeah. I went to university in New York City, um, and so at 19, I was because I moved at 17, 18, so I was a junior, I guess. And actually, my junior year is when I went abroad to Spain because I got my. This is to the point of our previous question of like this guy who went to school and went and can't find a job. Like I got my degree in Spanish and Latin American literature, and I'm not doing anything. I mean, besides the fact that I love speaking Spanish. I mean, I'm not pursuing my degree basically. So it's okay if you go to school and you have a degree and you end up in a career that's actually different from your degree. Um, but yeah, so junior year, 19 years old, I was probably for my time abroad. But I don't know what was I doing other than that. I was in school. That's all I can contribute. What do you want?
I like it. I like the honesty. Um, so for me, I always thought I was going to be a banker. And I've told this story a couple
Mm,
times on my channel, but I always thought I was going to be a banker. When you write in your high school yearbook, what are you going to do when you grow up? And in 10 years, it said like VP at a bank. That's what I always thought I was going to be. And when I got to university, how old are you in university? Was it 18, 19? I forget what year it was. Um, I
yeah, I
had
was
my path.
seven.
I think I went when I was 18. It was my second year. Uh,
Mm,
and I had job opportunities to go work at banks and strategic consulting companies and things that I thought were what I really wanted. And I had offers with Merrill Lynch and McKinsey Consulting, which again were like what my friends all wanted, what I thought I wanted, what I was working towards. And they flew me to New York and put me up in the Waldorf Astoria, and that was just by being a good student. Like I did, I wasn't, I wasn't top of my class in school, but I always had other things that I was doing, other kind of my entrepreneurial ventures and past, I guess, kind of made me stand out.
mm,
And I was started running this company. I was invited to be an owner. It was started by two people in my university, and I joined on the business side. It was a software company in biotech, and I knew nothing about biotech, and I knew nothing about software. Science was my worst subject in school. I dropped it in high school as soon as I could. Was just really bad at it, and here I am now having to sell scientific software. So that was an interesting challenge. And I had all sorts of limiting beliefs at the start. I'm too young.
mm.
These guys who are 3 times my age and have all these degrees are never going to listen to me. Why? What am I doing? I don't know anything about science. How am I going to sell scientific software? All of these limiting things. And it wasn't until I discovered that, all they care about is that I can add value to their lives. Like if my tool can help them in what they're doing, they're going to listen to me. And so that
Right.
was massively helpful. And the decision to stick with the company, at the start, the company was not doing well. It wasn't like I was rocking it and everything was great. And, I'm so glad I made that decision. It started off of me sucking at the start. We
Mm,
weren't making any money. I was making $300 a month. I was too embarrassed to tell my friends that what was going on because I turned down the big job to go do this. So it was kind of embarrassing to say that it's not working. And so what ended up happening was like why I stuck with the business instead of going off and taking the job that I thought that I always wanted was I just didn't want to live in regret. And it was a tough decision at the start, but it's become my default ever since, is that I don't want to live my life with regret. If there's something that I really want to do or wish I could do, and like maybe I'm afraid of, I try as much as possible now to just do it. And by thinking about where I'm going to be like 90 years old, looking back on my life, that really helps me. And so that all started because of that experience in university, where I did not want to leave my company to get the job, because I was worried that I may never get this chance. I could always go back and get another job, but I may not get this chance to do this kind of business again. And so I don't know that, my parents were entrepreneurs. You didn't have entrepreneur role models growing up. It was really just, I didn't want to miss that chance. And I think we all get these chances multiple times. And when it comes, it's having the guts to actually go for it and give it a shot, and giving up the safe, kind of smart thing to do. Nobody would have faulted me for taking the job. In fact, people were saying I should go take that job instead of running this business where I wasn't making any money. So that was it. And that was probably one of the hardest decisions that I had to make in my life. And once you get used to making those kinds of decisions, the future ones just become easier. Like I've already gone through that. And it's easier to do the next time. It's just like building any kind of muscle.
Wow.
19.
And how long thereafter, by the way, because I know I've heard this story before, but I can't remember, how long thereafter was it before you made that first like good paycheck after struggling?
That's a good question. I like the big paycheck came when I sold the business. That was the big paycheck for me. I'm gonna die. Nope, I didn't die. All right.
Yes.
Did not die.
Believe, Evan.
Very exciting. So I started making okay paychecks. I mean, the big money that you can make in those businesses is when you get acquired. A lot of the money that we made went back into the business to help it continue to grow and expand. But I wasn't I was making money. I wasn't still on my $300 a month and couldn't survive. The first breakthrough that happened was, and I've told this story a couple times, but I wanted to quit, and I told my partner I'd quit. I just felt so bad about myself that I wasn't living up to my expectations, because I had, things I had done in the past. I knew if I put a little bit more time and effort into it, I would be successful. Like it would, where I put my effort and energy, I turned out results in anything, in athletics and in life and whatever. I would always get results just by putting more work in. But here I was working hard, and I wasn't getting any results. And then the big moment that changed everything was when I was reading the story of Bill Gates and how he got Microsoft started, and he built Microsoft through partnerships. And the first big partnership came with IBM, where every IBM computer sold had Microsoft software on it, and that was their big deal that they're known for. That really made Microsoft. But before that, Microsoft was already a $7 million company, and they did that through partnerships as well. And so I thought, okay, I want to do partnerships. I work with Bill Gates. Maybe I won't make it to $7 million off of it, but I can try. Let's try to do something here. And so I made my first deal with a company that I got $13,500 for. I just got an assist, very exciting. And that felt like I made it. That felt like a huge paycheck. Like that's not a lot of money. Thinking about it now, that's really nothing. But but compared to where I was, like when you're making $300 a month and you can't pay anything, $13,500, man, that was lottery. That was lottery money. And that maybe happened a year after. I have to look at the timelines, I guess. I don't even remembering that story is something that I had to work through with my agent. Like I just kind of blocked it out. I don't know. I don't remember I think as entrepreneurs we kind of sometimes have to block out. If you just thought about all the negative things and how tough things were, you may not want to keep
Wow.
going. So I don't know the exact timeline on that. But let's say it was about a year until I made that first sale, like that big sale, the $13,500, and it still again wasn't a ton of money, but it gave me hope.
Absolutely.
It gave me hope, and more importantly, it gave me a model that I could follow. You know, I could close more partnerships. Like this was one partnership of many that I could then go out and start to form. So yeah, I think, and ever since then, like I learned a lot through that first business. One about not living with regret, but two about forming partnerships and alliances. Ever since then, like when I try to grow a new business, I think about, how can I form an alliance partnership to help me through this, to help me do it better? And it's the fastest way to grow business, to partner with someone who's already done what you're trying to do.
Love it. Awesome. All right. So we got our next question from Rose. And Rose has a nature cure business. And so she's saying, Evan, I'm wondering what went wrong. I gave enough advertising by pamphlet, and so few people came to this nature care treatment and they got healed and they were happy. But I can't find the flow. So how can I approach this business where I can convince people that this nature cure business actually works and that people do get healed? It's safe, no risk, and it's cheaper than some of the other things out there. But anyway, so it works. People came, it worked for them, but she can't find the flow. She can't seem to make it actually work. So my first feedback is, it sounds like she actually does have a valuable product in that it sounds like it's doing exactly what it promises to do. I mean, I don't know what kind of healing this is referring to, but I mean, that's a pretty good product if whatever you're giving is actually working and bringing healing to people's lives. So the value part is there. It sounds like she did advertise well. I wonder if this is more kind of like a bridging the gap in the education of what this product is, because when I think about like trying a new medicine or like a new way of doing anything, I'm very, like me personally, like I'm super slow. Like I get in my little routine. When I'm sick, I do this, or when and so introducing something new for me as just the on the other side of this, I would probably need some education, and I'd need to know why. I think it just takes a long time to educate people into why something is better than what they're already doing. So I wonder if that is part of it. Like, can she do things that are like maybe even just free educational things for people, so people can start to know more about it and be introduced to it? I know that takes a little time. She might not have that kind of luxury to sit there and educate, but I just think it takes people a really long time to make choices to do something new, especially when it comes to health. My mom is always trying to get me to try these, like she's all into the natural medicine and all this stuff, and I can't tell you how many times she calls me and says, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't actually do it. And then it just takes me a long time to come around. So I don't know. It sounds like it's a great product. Sounds like she's doing her part in terms of the marketing, but it may just take time for people to come around.
I like that. I died while you were going through your story. I like it.
Oh,
though.
no.
No, I know. It was close. It was close. But anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's Rose, right? Rose?
This is Rose.
Rose. That's, it sucks. And you know, the truth is, welcome to the world of entrepreneurship. You know, like, this is part of running a business. And I think a lot of people who even do believe in their products and think they have something amazing, there's still the struggle at the start. It's way harder than you think it's going to be to get a business going. So one like the positive side of that is it's normal. Like, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you, or necessarily, you know, your business. This happens to most entrepreneurs when they're getting started. So it's okay. Now, like, how to fix it. One, we talked about the partnerships. So again, instead of, like, the hardest thing for you to do is go out and get one client after another client after another client. The easiest thing to do is go find somebody who's already sold to your audience and has a base, and find a way to form an alliance with them. So this is what we talked about it in my story, and it could be super helpful for you to do too. So, you know, I'd be looking at who is already selling. Oh, I died again. Who is already selling those related products? Like, who already has a market of people who care about health products, and can you introduce this to them and have them help you sell it? So you start building an audience. It's the fastest way to grow. Flyer marketing can work, but is super difficult. And to expect that, like, hey, I'm going to put out some flyers and people are just going to show up and start buying, you know, you need consistent, like, those kinds of things work with consistency. So you need to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, and eventually you'll get some recognition for it. So I'd be working again more on the strategic partnership angle. The second thing is storytelling is super important for any business, but especially this kind of product. I'd be looking at trying to tell the story of ideally your own story, like, why is this so helpful to you? What did you solve as a result of trying out this product? If it's not you, then, you know, is it your family? Is it friends who've used it? You know, even as you explain it here, we don't really know about the product, right? Like, anytime you're talking about the product to anybody, you want to be able to dish out the story, right? So we're trying to help answer a question, and we don't know the context of what your product does or how it's helped you. Every time you're talking about your company, your product, you want to tell a little bit of the story and how helpful it's been in your life. So those two things, I think, will be a lot of help. One, doing strategic alliances, and two, figuring out your story behind it to inspire action.
Nice.
I'm in the middle of a big fight here. Can we do something? It's tight. Oh,
I
oh, God,
Kevin,
killed
that,
again. This jungler is crazy. Okay.
Oh, no.
No, it's okay. She's targeting me. She's targeting me. I got an assist, though. All right. Next question.
And I will just say, to Rose's credit, she did mention it is an allopathic medicine. So that's, like, similar to homeopathic remedies, that type of thing. So a natural, I guess it's a natural medicine thing.
Well, but that's the thing.
All right,
like, and this is a good lesson for entrepreneurs in telling the story. I don't really care about, you know, I want to know what it does to help me, right? So, like, that doesn't mean anything to me. It may mean something to some people, but what are the benefits that I get from using it? Like, saying that it's naturopathic, or, you know, telling me that some solution is organic, or, you know, like, what's the problem that it's solving? I don't know.
I don't either. That's good. Okay. Question from Lauren. And Lauren says, where do you find your strength? And the reason she's asking, Evan, is because she's got a new blog, and I guess she tried to do something like this in the past, but when she got some little man feedback, she kind of crumbled. And so now she's trying again, and she's optimistic, but she wants to know, where do you find your strength?
I like that question.
So it's a good question, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many different things that I think are so important in terms of kind of building your resilience, especially when it's something new. I think a huge one is your environment, your support, your community. You know, it's like you're that little kid in the very beginning who's just trying to take a few steps a day, and those few steps, it's just going to require almost like a little bit extra guard. I love, how does she say it? Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, when you're first starting out at something, your muscles, your resilience muscles are much weaker than they will be later. And so you kind of have to, I think, go out of your way to create an environment where you can really support that weaker muscle. And so I would say make sure you are surrounding yourself with the things that really make you come alive and really make you feel confident about what it is that you're doing, and try to guard yourself from the criticism or the negative things that are inevitably going to come in the process. But I just think it's like anything in that very beginning stage. It's like you're a toddler, and you just need that extra amount of support to make sure that you don't crumble.
I like it. I like it. While you were talking, I got a kill, so I'm also liking that. So
Nice.
1 kill, 3 deaths, and 7 assists. So it's not bad. It's not bad. Team is doing okay here. Yeah, this is a great question, and I think, you know, part of why I did this channel, part of why I talk about some of the content I do talk about, is nobody talks about how hard it is to be an entrepreneur. And you know, to Rose's question too, the last time around, nobody talks how hard it is, and I just got a kill, which is exciting, and so it's normal, and like I love these kinds of questions because it shows the vulnerability of being an entrepreneur. Because when you're off at events or whatever, it's people ask you how you're doing with your business. It's always you're always saying all the positive things and not the, you know, like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue doing this, you know. So I love that. For me, I think you find the strength from a couple things. One, from doing something that you are, you know, that you love, right? Like to be able to put up with the pain and suffering and setbacks and, you know, blows to your ego and feeling like you're not adding a lot of value. It is really tough unless you really love what it is that you're doing. So that's the first part. The second is doing a lot of little pushes against limiting beliefs that you have. I think, you know, how do you overcome your fears, and how do you build up courage? It's by starting to do something, even something that's really small that may not seem like a big step, but something that you were afraid to do. You know, so say like you're really afraid of public speaking as an example, and that would terrify you. Well, your next step isn't going to be going and speaking on stage at you know, some big stadium. It might be talking at a YMCA, and that may be like life and death for you. That may feel like it's the scariest thing ever in the world. And I remember I got my speaking start at the YMCA, and so I get it, and I was terrified. But once you do that, you could do it again. And then you could do it again, and then you could do it again. It just becomes easier every time. And it's having the courage to test yourself on the small things when you are afraid, because then the next time and the next time and the next time, it always will become a lot easier. so those two things, like one, feeling like you're doing something important, relevant, valuable. My goal is always impact. I wanna make an impact and do things that will impact others. And then when you are faced with something that you're really afraid about, then it's just realizing that this is something that you should push yourself through and keep going with. And if you could do it once, then you'll be able to do it over and over and over again.
Yeah, and Evan, I just say to your point about the testing on a small scale, I love that because I think so many times we'll like try to do too much too soon, and then we end up like, that's part of why we crumble, is we just we get so overwhelmed by trying to do the big goal instead of just testing small. So I love the point about just trying something on a small scale so that if it does fail, you're not completely destroyed and you can keep moving forward.
I like it. I am now, I got a number of kills. I'm 4 and 3, so that's pretty good. The turnaround is real. The turnaround is real. Yeah, but thank you for the question. I love the vulnerability questions too. I mean, everybody is vulnerable in some sense, I guess, like the being willingness to ask a question. But I like it. Those kinds of questions are more important than any like single marketing strategy. Because if you're not motivated, if you're not in the right headspace, if you don't have the right mindset, then no specific marketing strategy is really going to help you until you solve that.
Well, we've got another vulnerable question for you.
All right. I got another kill, so let's do it. Things are
Okay.
looking up.
All right, so this is a question from Ibrahim. Sorry, Ibrahim, if I'm saying your name wrong. He says, maybe it's Ibrahim. Well, it's spelled very differently. Maybe it's like an Abraham, but spelled differently. I would like to be, but I don't know who I am.
You cut out. I would like to be what? I would like to be?
I would like to be me, but I don't know who I am.
Okay. Wow, okay.
And there's another question.
We're going even deeper on this one, Ibrahim.
Yeah, he's going deep. And he does add, I'm in a deep forest trying to find proper tree to grow unknown carrier. Still don't know where I should start. And I was trying to figure out, is this literal or is this a metaphor for, is he in a deep forest, like literally? Or is he in the tree business? But we'll start with the first part.
Okay. Is he in the tree business?
Because you get people from all over the world, Evan, asking questions. Okay, so it says, I would like to be me, but I don't know who I am. So, gosh, that's obviously a pretty weighty question, and really, at the end of the day, your journey is going to be uniquely yours. And I will just say to Abraham, a lot of people feel this way. And I think even those of us who feel like we have got a very strong sense of who we are, life is constantly a process of becoming. And so, don't feel like you're somehow alone in this journey of feeling like you want to know who you are. We're all continuously discovering that. We are all growing. We are all changing. And so I just would say, get excited about the fact that you're on your journey and that you are going to discover who you are. And it's okay. You're not alone in that feeling. And one of the things too that I think can help you through that practically, I'm gonna kind of go with this whole one word thing that constantly is always being talked about here on Evan's channel, where part of figuring out who you are, you can do some really practical things. You can think about what excites you. You can think about what makes you come alive. You can think about what are the movies that you watch, the books that you read, the people that you're attracted to, and then what are the things that you despise, the things that you hate? You know, what gets you upset? What do you like to rant about, you know? And I think within all of those questions, you get at least some keys into your purpose, why you're here. And so I'd start there. Like if if you want some practical things to do, just start thinking about some of the themes and the connecting dots in your life and what makes you tick. As far as the deep forest, I don't know if this is literal or metaphor, but Evan, do you know anything about? He's trying to find a proper tree to grow an unknown carrier. I mean, that sounds like a literal question.
I don't know. I think it's probably an analogy that's kind of been maybe lost in the translation. Or if it is, I don't have the answer to that one. So just taking that with a grain of salt. But in terms of answering the question about like finding out who I am, I agree. I think this is another thing where most people don't go around sharing their deepest vulnerabilities and concerns, and you have to have a pretty tight relationship with a friend to tell them, you know, I don't know who I am. That's a tough conversation to have, and sometimes it's easier maybe talking to a stranger. I just got another kill. Super excited about that. I agree in that I don't think, even me, I don't fully know who I am because I'm constantly changing too. And I think that's part of the excitement is that you always want to be evolving who you are based on what you become interested in and follow your curiosity. So in my case, I always try to do the things that I'm curious about and get me excited. I think we'll go through ebbs and flows. I think the thing that, might get you really excited can quickly become boring, and you need to constantly change and evolve. And I think as long as you feel like you're growing, there's pain and suffering with growing, but there's also a lot of happiness with growing. Like learning a new skill is painful and can be even dehumanizing at times, but you want to learn new stuff. Like if you stop learning, then you get really dissatisfied with where you are. And so part of that is constantly learning about yourself too. And the habit that I would encourage you to try to get into is figuring out, whenever I'm curious about something, I'm going to try to do it in some small way. I'm going to try to do it. And not be so held up on having a perfect answer for who you are, because it's going to constantly evolve. I wouldn't say change, but constantly evolve. So again, like even just understanding that you're not alone helps. That like everybody goes through this helps.
Yeah.
And not having to have a perfect answer, because I think it's easy to see other people and say, well, it looks like they have it all figured out. What's wrong with me? Where that doesn't have to be. That's not the case, right? Nobody really has everything fully figured out, because we're all of us constantly evolving.
Absolutely. So good. And I think so many people never start because they think they have to have all the answers right in the beginning. I know I can relate to that. So
yeah, that's a perfectionist bug creeping in there.
Yeah, Evan. Okay, how are you doing on the game? Are you wanting more questions?
Yeah. I'm. How am I doing? I'm considering the terrible start that I had. Just making a whole bunch of mistakes, and I don't know what was going on there. Things are good. I have seven kills, only 3 deaths now. I started off with no kills and 3 deaths, I think. So, gone on a 7-kill streak. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm ready for the next question. We're doing well. Team is doing well. So far, so good.
Love it. Love it. All right. Next question comes from Kivumbi.
Kavumbi.
Yes, sir. And he says, "This is pretty jam packed, Evan. Are you ready for this?"
Okay, hit me. Kavumbi,
I
question
am
of the day.
I am requesting you to please send me some info on the following:
Uh-oh.
business scalability, value addition, and how longevity of a business determines its success.
Okay, we can do that. Let's go one at a time. Business scalability.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, I would have to say for scalability, just going back to what you said about partnerships, I mean, probably the best way to scale a business is to have pursued those alliances and partnerships. Of course, each business is different, but if I have no information, that would be where my first response would be.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at scalability, some models. Oh, I just died, and I got a kill, so not that bad. So it's a business model question. Some businesses scale easier than others, and you can adjust your model to make it more scalable. Products inherently are more scalable than services, as an example. You can only scale your time so much. I actually recommend starting with a service-based business because it's easier to bring in cash flow consistently than a product, but it's harder to scale and make it bigger long-term, so you can transition from service to product. You want to look at, if you're looking at scalability, you're basically saying that as I grow, like as I bring in more revenue and more sales and acquire more customers, that the cost that it takes me to make it goes down. That's scalability. So if you're making t-shirts, one t-shirt might cost you $20 to make, but if you're buying 10,000 t-shirts, it goes down to $1 per make or 50 cents to make. And that's what you want. And any business you can add a little more scalability to with a little bit of thought. But that's basically kind of summarizing what scalability is all about.
Okay. Value addition.
Okay.
So I don't know specifically, I guess, what he would be referring to, but I know you talk a lot about how value is value is everything, and that you will see financial, a relationship between the value you're putting in and the money you make. So value addition, is there something that you want to say specific to that, Evan, that I would?
Yeah, I think so. The thing that I did not understand early enough in my career is that really being a success in entrepreneurship is about providing value. The more value you can provide, the more money you're going to make, the more impact you're going to have. If you are not giving people value in their lives, in their business, you're not gonna have a business. And so it's just constantly thinking, what can I do to make somebody's life easier, better, more affordable, solve a problem? And my favorite way to do it is to look at what I'm facing in my business or in my life. Like, I try to solve my own problems, and then I provide that solution to others. And it's a fantastic way to start and grow a business. You look at the pains in your own life. Like, I look at a lot of the reasons for the channel, the videos on my channel come from me wanting to solve something that is happening in my life. Like, I want the top 10 series for me selfishly, and I share that. And so it's just constantly looking at, what can I do to help more people? And if you do that, people focus too much on the profit at the start. If you do that and provide value, real tangible value that makes a difference in people's lives, then the money will come from that. And it's a good question to be constantly asking yourself, because you always need to constantly be evolving your offerings. Yeah,
and just to add to that, so far, scalability and value addition, I mean, there's tons of videos on the channel about those two topics. So I'd encourage Kavumbi to just do a search on those two topics on your channel, because you've got plenty of videos on those two topics. And then longevity of a business, and how does it determine the success?
Okay.
I would say that longevity is success. You want a business that is going to be able to stand the test of time, and so I'm not sure I can add much more to that. I think longevity is success.
So for me, I mean, I agree with Rishan. I think a lot of these questions that he's asking are tied to each other. I think the longevity of a business is going to be based on how much you can consistently provide value. Like, as long as you are providing value, you will still have a company that continues to sustain and grow and, do all the great things that you're trying to do. When you stop providing value, then that's the end of your company. In terms of building a bigger business, that's going to come from how scalable your company is, right? So you want to be providing value. That's going to help people. That's going to keep your company around. That'll help your longevity. But if you are not adding scalability into it, then your business won't grow to anything bigger than it is. Right? So like, you could be a consultant as an example. You could be a really high paid consultant. Great. You're making good money as a consultant. As long as you're providing value, you're still going to have your consulting business. Clients will keep coming back to you. But if you want to build it to something bigger, then you need to do something more. Like, you need to have products that you add in there, or you need to build a consulting team around you to make it a little more scalable. So I'd love to know what kind of business he's in, because the questions are all, they may seem different, but they all have a common theme that tie them together. So anyway, hopefully it was a good learning lesson there.
Yeah, awesome. Kavumbi, let us know what business are you in? So we've got our next question from Charles. And Charles is a part of a marketing company. They also do graphic design and production. They have a production firm. And so basically, he says, Evan, I need some of your expert advice and coaching. I watch all your videos, and I know you are the one that I need to listen to.
All right, Charles, let's do it.
So there's not really a specific question that he's looking for in this, in what he wrote here, but it looks, I guess, for Evan, for people, people are always constantly wanting to be mentored by you, wanting to be coached by you. How does that work? How does someone get to be coached by Evan?
So it's just an interesting question. It ties into the last question too. I have made a conscious decision to try to make the advice that I give more scalable. I have a passion for helping entrepreneurs. I have a passion for, believing in people, and entrepreneurship is just where I have the most ability to be able to help people. And when I first started doing my YouTube channel, it was because I wanted to be able to answer people's questions, not just one at a time. I would spend 30, 40 minutes writing email responses back to people, and I thought, this is ridiculous. There's got to be other people who could benefit from it as well. So in answering one person's question, just like we're doing right now, like I'm answering one person's question, and hopefully the other people that watch that have the same problem will be able to get value from the answer. So combining that, I'm delaying because I'm in the middle of a huge fight here, and I got one kill, and hopefully I will not die. I died. Okay, good. Come on, where's my team? Back me up. Good times. Good times. So I made a conscious decision to try to make things more scalable, to make my time more scalable. And so I try to do it through doing YouTube videos. So as much as I love meeting people one-on-one and helping them, I really, limit that to typically when I'm traveling. Like I'm going to New York City this Friday, and I'm going to send an email out to my list to people who are in New York. Say, hey, I'm going to be in New York. If you guys want to meet up, grab a coffee, talk about your business, let's do it. And when I travel, I try to do that, at least have, an afternoon open to be able to help people. Because I still love it. Like, it means a lot to me. It's just not scalable. And my ultimate goal is to help 1 billion entrepreneurs. So I need to do things that that are massively scalable. So YouTube is a great way for me to do it. People ask me questions. I try to answer it on YouTube. The book is the way that I do it. So I don't really do a lot of one-on-one mentoring, and it's not really my goal. There's a few people in Toronto, in my local city, that I am mentoring, and I see, I want to put Toronto on the map. One of my own kind of personal goals. I want to put Toronto on the map and build a little mini business empire here in the city, and mentoring entrepreneurs to help them go. So as an investor in companies like the salsa business, I invested in it and then acquired it, and now I'm training somebody to run the company, and I want to continue to do that with people who I can see have the ability to impact lots of other people. So by changing, Alex's life, who's my operations guy at Toronto Dance Salsa, I'm also changing the lives of a lot of people who he will impact and reach. So yeah, that's important to me. But the mentoring, because there's so much time involved in it, and I hate mailing it in. I hate doing the bare minimum. I hate just giving, if I'm mentoring you, I want you to be massively successful, and it requires a lot of conversation, a lot of time that I just don't, I can't commit the time a lot of times to it. So,
and I think, Evan, I don't know if people realize, I have to say this again, that the YouTube channel is free entrepreneurial university. You can get coached on just about anything. There are so many videos on your channel. So again, encourage anyone out there who really wants to get coached by Evan. You can get coached literally. There's about, how many videos you putting out a day?
There's 3 a day. There's 3,000 plus on the channel. And we're about to hit 300,000 subscribers. So there you go. Lots of threes. 3 good things coming.
Wow. So cool. So anyone who wants to get coached, you can get coached right now. I've learned so much just by watching the channel, and so just putting that out there again.
I love it. The channel ambassador, Rishi Cup TV. This is a long game. Holy cow. It's a long game here. It's going to end soon, though. Either we're going to win or we're going to lose pretty soon. I think next team fight will decide it.
I'm delayed on the stream, so I love watching. At least the stream is working, but it is a little delayed, so I can't see exactly where you are.
Well, I have 12 kills, 7 deaths, 13 assists. And the way it gets late into the game, it scales so much that basically the next time everybody dies on one team, that's going to be the end of the game. So you got to be really careful that we don't lose the next fight, or it's over.
Okay, well, we got one more question maybe we have time for. I don't know. We'll see. This one is kind of long. I'm going to actually not mention the name on this one.
Okay.
Because there's some, just got some sensitive information, I guess. But
sure.
This couple is in a food business, and what they're trying to do, it's pretty cool actually. They want to be able to provide healthy food and drinks at affordable prices to the poor masses.
Healthy food and drinks, okay, to the masses, yep.
Yeah, and where they're getting stuck is basically they're stuck with the finances of the business because the cost of buying the equipment and the raw materials is more than they can afford right now. So the husband is basically saying we either need to get a loan from the bank or we need to get an investor. But the wife isn't, at this stage, the wife is not comfortable with sharing the idea with anyone else, actually, other than you right now, Evan, because unfortunately she has a history where she got burned in the past. She helped someone develop a product in the past and then basically got used. So she's afraid to even get help because of being burned in the past. But the husband is trying to move forward with financing the business. So I guess they're just kind of in this place of where do they go from here, being that they need the money to go forward, but the wife is really kind of afraid at this point to share the idea with anyone else.
Got it.
But I love, first of all, I just say I love that they're trying to provide healthy food and drinks to the poor masses because, I mean, let's face it, anything healthy is always so expensive. So I think it's a great cause, or a great, I shouldn't say a cause, but just a great idea. There's a couple layers here in terms of not wanting to move forward because of being burned in the past. I would just say, I'm so sorry that happened. I definitely know what that feels like. And the fear of not wanting to get help because you know the risk of being vulnerable, being open. We talked about this a lot already on today's stream. Like, being vulnerable in this email is a huge step in moving forward. Just being able to go to someone you can trust and say, I need help, but what do I do? And I think that what I've learned is that you absolutely, no matter what, as scary as it is to have to trust again and to make yourself vulnerable again, there's no way around it. I'm not saying just be trusting anyone, but I think that part of moving forward is going to require opening up again and maybe trusting again. We often can't move forward without making that first step. That's been my experience. And then as far as the question about financing, man, that's a tough one. I see so many different opinions on whether you should get a loan. I know, Evan, you've talked about not getting investors in the very beginning part because you end up giving away too much too soon of the business. So, I would ask, have they really done everything on their part in terms of really, I don't know, putting a ton of love into the business? Sounds like they have. But I don't know, Evan, you're going to have to answer that one as far as investors versus getting a loan.
Yeah. Did they say how they were burned in the past? What happened? Or just in general they were burned in the past?
Yeah. She basically, it says that an individual used her to develop an orange-flavored yogurt drink.
Okay.
And she was paid peanuts, it says.
Cool. So a couple things here. First, for that, you learn through experience, and you can learn through a lot of negative experiences. And what I would try to take that as a positive, and that, okay, yes, this bad thing happened to you, but you've learned from it, and you're not going to let it happen again. As opposed to, I'm never going to try. Right? Like, if you are learning to ride a bike and you fall off, it doesn't mean you don't get back on the bike and try again. It just means you don't do it the same way that you did it before. And so I think that's super important, because a lot of people, when they get burned, they, instead of learning from it and making themselves better, they just retreat. A lot of people, maybe they hired their first employee and that employee didn't work out. And so like, well, I'm never going to hire an employee again. I'm just going to do it all myself because I know how to do it. And I'm not going to get screwed over. Well, that's not really the answer to build something big and powerful. That's not really going to get you where you need to go. And so, yes, you need to be able to work with people. You need to be able to trust people. But also, you don't have to be too trusting from the start. Maybe you were too trusting of this individual the first time through, and you'll make better decisions next time. So don't let that, early failure prevent you from doing something big with your life and your business. In terms of the financing, I talked about this a lot on the channel. I hate spending money till I'm making money. There's a lot of ways to be able to get this thing started. Like go get some sales, go get some orders. Did I talk about Bunners last time on the stream?
No.
No. This is this company that I love called Bunners, and they make organic cookies and pastries and treats, but it's all not just gluten-free, but vegetarian, vegan. It's like vegan butter tarts, that kind of stuff. And I'm not like, I'm enough of a health guy, but I'm not like a crazy health guy. So, I'm not so like, I would try it. Like, I'm interested in it. It has to still taste good though. I wouldn't give up. I love butter tarts. It's one of my favorite things. Butter tarts are just pure goodness. So they started, kind of similar mission. Like I want to make goods that people can buy. They started just in church basements, selling. She made it from her kitchen, and she used the resources she had, and just started from selling from the basement of the churches. And then eventually, from enough of those, she built up, and she got sales, and she got a following, and she got customers, and eventually she was able to open up her own location. And then she launched a second location, and then she launched a cookbook, and she's been able to scale her business. But at the start, it was church basements, and so that I hate to see people going off and burning a whole bunch of money before they're making anything. And especially if you've been burned in the past, you don't want to risk that all over again. And so I'd be looking at how can I not just spend tons of money and then bring on investors. Like, I don't know if this is going to work or not. I'd much rather see them. I'd much rather see them try to invest from their profits, try to make this. And it sucks to take a step back, and it sucks to when you see something so big and have so much potential. You want to go out and get it financed, but I would look at. I mean, it's me. I'm a. Hey, we won! I got a triple kill and we won.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good turnaround. I was an embarrassing start to the stream, man. I didn't buy items, but it was a really bad start. But we turned it around. I'll give everybody at the end of every game you're supposed to say GG. It means a good game. GG.
Oh, good.
Some people aren't. So I'd hate to see them spending money, somebody else's money. Especially if you're going into debt. Man, that scares me. Yeah. You're taking out a loan on your house or whatever other assets you have, and if it doesn't work out, that could be like the rest of your life kind of decision impact, right? You take out an extra mortgage on your house, it's 30 years to pay that back. If that doesn't work out, then you're really hurting yourself. The only way I would do it is if I had an order. Like if you got orders from Whole Foods to put your products into their store, then fine, that may make sense. Those are the easiest kinds of businesses to get money for, the ones that have momentum and have some orders coming in. But if you don't, and it's just an idea, I would be super wary of going out and getting a loan to bring on. So kind of summarizing, one, yes, you need to be able to trust people. I think it's great that you have you're a team already, so you have each other to lean on. That's more than a lot of entrepreneurs have, so it's great. The next time you bring on somebody, start small, do one small test project and see if that works, and then continue to invest more and more time with them. Because everything always looks good at the start on paper, And then when you start working with somebody, you may realize that you're coming from different places or don't share the same values and just aren't a good fit. Not that either of you are bad people, just sometimes it just doesn't work out. And better to discover that on small projects than having, given away a big chunk of what you're trying to do. And then financing, there's a lot of options, but I would still think try to do it yourselves. If you're giving up equity, you're going to give up too much, and if you're taking on a loan, you risk potential for the rest of your lives having to pay this thing back if it doesn't work out. So I'd much rather see you invest from your profits and slow down the growth at the start. Still have the big vision, but start smaller to make it happen. That's it. It's a tough spot to be in, but hopefully that helped.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, I got somebody on the opposite team saying, "Good job, Timo," which is me. So I'm going to give them a thank you for that. And that's great. Awesome. So another victory. Pretty excited about that. Rishi, people want to find out more about you. Where are they heading off to?
I'm on YouTube at Rishi Cup TV. Cup of love, y'all.
Cool. I'll add the link in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Any last words, Rishi?
No, just thank you to everyone. Great questions, and thanks for showing such vulnerability. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, good. I like the questions today. I mean, I like the questions always, but it was a good selection today. Cool. All right, guys, have a great day. Continue to believe, and we'll see you soon.